Hello, my friends. How are you today? It is Cyber Monday, and I wonder if all of you are spending your Cyber Monday shopping or if you're kind of tired of all of this stuff going on. So it's a really strange year, isn't it, with our gatherings being reduced to small numbers. It's a really strange year for Christmas and for shopping and even for Thanksgiving. But I want to just take a moment here to welcome all of you. It was Thanksgiving weekend, and I hope that you all had a fabulous Thanksgiving weekend. I know in my family it was a little unusual. It was quiet. It was just my five, so my three kids, my husband and I, and the dog. And it was a little unusual Thanksgiving. And we did Zoom with my parents and with my extended family. My nephews came on with their wives and children, and that was fabulous. So I hope you had a similar experience this Thanksgiving where you were able to reach out and touch the family members that you couldn't be there with. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the comments and see if you're here. Hey, Helen. Hi, Anita. So nice to see you. So good. I am live and everything's good to go. And I want to thank you for coming and happy Cyber Monday morning. Yes, you'll see the little ticker across the bottom reminds you that our Cyber Monday sale is still going on. We had a sale all weekend. It's been a fabulous weekend with orders coming in all weekend. Joanne is a little overwhelmed with all of the orders that we had. You know that Joanne is doing my shipping again. But instead of here being at my office shipping, she is at her family business in Worcester shipping out of her warehouse. So that's been a big change for us this year, this season. And I'm so thrilled that Joanne is now doing our shipping again because she is so good at it. And it takes it out of my realm where I make mistakes. I don't enjoy doing it. And it frees me up to do some other things. So what other kind of things have I been working on? So I want to talk to you today about what I've been working on. I want to talk to you today about a little bit of mindset, a little bit of are you being hard on yourself? Are you stressing yourself out over projects and UFOs? So I want to talk about a little bit about the stress that can come from learning something new, and the stress that can come from UFOs. So we want to touch on both of those things a little bit today, but then we also want to turn our attention to something really fun. And I thought it would be nice to get back to some critters. So in my membership, we have a member, Andrea, who is just so creative. And she has been following along on the Monday mornings with me and making all of the critters. So recently, when we were in a workshop, she showed me her design board with all of her critters all over her design board. And I had taken mine down to clean up my area to make it look a little neater for you when you're on a call here. But then I kind of got out of the habit of adding to the critters that we were making. So today I want to talk about critters, and we're going to do caterpillars and ants. And I love to do this with you. I'm just writing down today what I said I'm going to cover, so I make sure I cover everything that I said I'm going to cover. I love to do these things with you because it gives me the opportunity every Monday morning to be creative and to do it live here with you. I've not done these shapes before. I've not done these animals or critters before. So what I do here on Monday mornings is I play, and you get to watch me play and see what I come up with. And sometimes it's a disaster, and sometimes it's just fabulous. And so it's really fun to let you in on my little bit of playtime. And what that does for me is it forces me to take the time to play and create something new so that I always have new things to show my customers and new ideas that I can put in future quilts. So this is my time to play, and it's your time to come and play with me. Oh, good. Elaine, thank you. I saw your order. Thank you so much for taking advantage of the sale. That's wonderful. Helen, you posted a photo of your Leaves Galore project on the Janome Sewing Facebook page, and you credited me in the rulers. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Helen. Kathy, so nice to see you here today, and Anita and Cheryl. Fantastic. Glad you're all here. I'm sorry, I forgot to turn off my other phone, my house phone. So you're hearing my house phone in the background. So the first thing I want to talk to you today is about a little bit of mindset and the Facebook page in particular. So this Facebook page is our free Facebook page. Anybody can watch, anybody can join. I love having all of you here because we get to play with Applique together and you get to see a little bit of what I do. Not really the nuts and bolts of what I do, but at least the results of what we do. So you can see me making different shapes, different blocks, different quilts. And I'm going to bring you kind of up to date on the quilts that I've been making this week. And you see one of them right here, my Rings and Things rings quilt. So I'll show you that in just a minute. I've got a Drunkard's Path quilt that I'm working on, so I'll show you that in just a minute. But what I wanted to say was that when I have UFOs like this one, and this one that I've just even started, which is my Drunkard's Path quilt, when I have little UFOs like this, they kind of hang over my head until I get them well on their way. In fact, until I get them out to the machine quilter, that UFO kind of hangs over me. And as much as I love doing what I do, I love seeing the result of what I've made. I really love seeing the finished product. So until that quilt is at the machine quilter, and even then, until it comes back and I've got that binding to put on, I don't want to say stressful because I love the whole process, but I'm anxious, I'm excited, and I'm ready to get that project done. And you might feel anxious or excited or ready to get it done, anxious in a positive way, excited to get something done, or you might feel overwhelmed by the stress of getting things done. So I want to talk a little bit about the overwhelm. I heard someplace over the weekend, I was listening to a podcast, and she said, overwhelm is getting exactly what you want. Overwhelm is getting exactly what you want, but in spades, so much of what you want. So I love having the opportunity to sew. But my overwhelm comes when I've got too many ideas, too many things to sew, and I can't wait to get them made into quilts. So I feel a little bit overwhelmed when I have all these ideas in my head and I'm ready to get them out into quilts. You can feel overwhelmed when you don't understand something, or when you don't have all the tools you need to get something done, or you don't have all the knowledge you need to get something done. So that can cause a little bit of stress. Or you just have a whole bunch of UFOs that you want to get done. And we can look at that as a negative stress or as a positive. So in anticipation of getting things done, or an overwhelm, or in a feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm buried with all of these projects, instead of, I get to dabble in all of these projects all at one time. I get to play around with all these different things. And today I'm going to decide to work on one project and to get that further along in the process. So you can see how just by reframing the problem, in quotes, the problem, we can turn a UFO into a stressor of it hanging over our head, or a fun little thing that we get to play with each day. So there's a whole lot to be said about what's your mindset going into a project. Is it, oh my gosh, I'm going to create another UFO? Or is it, hey, I'm excited to learn something new, and whether or not I get this done, I've learned something in the process. So that little bit of mindset shift really helped me to not feel overwhelmed with my projects, but to feel excitement and anticipation of getting those done eventually, even though they're not done right now. So I'm hoping that we can kind of reframe your idea about projects so that they don't become stressors. They actually become fun opportunities to decide today what you get to work on. Okay, good. So one of the stressors that can happen, one of the things that can cause stress, especially when talking about project finishes, is comparing yourself to others. One of the challenges that we have in today's age with all of the social media and all of the connection, the way that we can connect with people from all over the world that share our love of quilting, is we can compare ourselves to those people that seem like they're getting so much done, right? They seem like they're getting unbelievable amounts of quilting done, and that puts a little bit more stress on you because you're saying, oh my gosh, I feel so inadequate. I feel so almost ashamed that I'm not getting everything done. Well, that's once again, there's a little mindset shift that has to happen. So I want you to think about when you do go on Facebook and you look at these beautiful websites, or I'm sorry, not so much websites, but social media sites where people are posting their finishes, people are posting their beautiful quilts. Even from our group, in our membership group, people are posting their finished projects. And does that encourage you? Or does that add stress to your day saying, oh my gosh, that's one more thing that I didn't get done that somebody else got done? Well, one of the really helpful things for me is somebody said to me, I believe it was my business coach, and I'm going to pass along this little tidbit of wise wisdom. Don't compare your everyday, daily grind to somebody else's highlight reel. So when you look at Facebook, you're looking at the highlight reel for dozens and dozens or hundreds and hundreds or even thousands of quilters across the country that are showing you their highlights, their shining moments. That shining moment might be a blip in that quilter's life. It might be one quilt that she's done in the past 5 years. It might be the one quilt she's done in the past 5 months. That's her highlight reel. Those are the things she's so proud of and can't wait to share. And I applaud those people that are sharing. I'm so thrilled when our members and my customers share what they've made. But I want all of you to think about that is the highlight reel of all of my customers collectively. Do you know that I have about 9,000 people on my email list? I have about 4,000 that subscribe to either of my Facebook groups. So those quilts that you might see one a day or every other day, you see a beautiful quilt that's posted. Those are my quilters and my customers. That's their highlight reel. These are the most beautiful quilts that they've done that they're so proud of. Now, did they post all of their struggles? Did they post all of their challenges? Did they post all of their mistakes? Absolutely not. They're posting their most beautiful work. So I love that bit of advice. Don't compare your everyday life and the daily grind to somebody else's highlight reel. And that's kind of what we're doing when we're here on social media. So I just wanted to point that out to you because you might not have thought of it that way before. And I think it's helpful to reframe things, again, from a mindset point of view, that what you're doing is bringing you joy. What you're doing is bringing you knowledge. What you're doing is giving you something to focus on other than the crazy world that we're living in. So all of those things are such positive things. And I always want you to think about the positive aspects of what we do here at Sue Pellin Designs, what we do here when we're teaching courses, what we do here when we're making beautiful quilts, or you join a course and you get started on a gorgeous quilt. It's not always the end result that we're looking for. It's the process and the learning that happens along the way. So I will just take a moment to reframe now and not to talk about mindset, but to talk about what we can do. So I love to take a few minutes to think about your mindset to make sure that you're not feeling that bit of overwhelm. And if you are, I want you to reach out to me and let me know that you're feeling that bit of overwhelm. And we can talk about it. We can reframe things a little bit so that you can, sometimes we need somebody to chat with about our mindset and about the stress that we're feeling over those UFOs and find a way out of that, out of the woods sometimes, and to wade through all the projects that you're working on and to help you to refocus and to focus on what's important to you and to knock one project off of your list. And maybe that one project this year will go on your highlight reel so that you can share that with everyone else. Okay, so we want to talk about some projects that we can make, some critters that we can make. And this came to me because I was working with black fabric. And when I was doing demonstrations, you can't even see that because it's so dark. I was doing demonstrations for our new version of the membership, or our new feature of the membership, where we're going to do step-by-step instructions of how to use all of the tools. So I started working with black fabric because it showed up really well for the demonstration, and the template showed well on it, etc. Hi, Carlene. Nice to see you here this morning. So I started cutting out shapes with black fabric, and all of a sudden I thought about what we could make with these different shapes, because I hate to do all of this fusing and cutting and not have a goal in mind or a project in mind. Well, I got a little off topic when my friend Andrea, one of our members, our member from the UK, she started showing me her critters that she had made. And she had made a beautiful little caterpillar. And I had had that on my list of things to do, but I hadn't actually done it yet. So when I started cutting out all of these little shapes, I started thinking about how we could make a caterpillar out of all of these different shapes. And a second thing happened. I was working on this quilt right here, my rings quilt, and I ended up with all of these circles left over. So I started playing with the circles and what I could do with the circles. And I just loved this fabric, and I wanted to fussy cut some of these circles in order to make that little caterpillar. So I want to talk to you today about fussy cutting a motif like that, and then how we're going to put together our caterpillar. Hi, Jacqueline. Oh, nice to hear from you again. That's wonderful to see you. It's been a while since I've heard your name around, and it's really excellent to hear from you. So the second thing is I've got all these little black leaves. Let me put it over here so you can see that. And remember, sometimes we get partial leaves on the end of our fabrics. So one of the things I wanted to play with today are those partial leaves. And I thought it would be really great fun. Of course, that's a nice body for my my little bees, the little black bees. You can put some yellow stripes on that there, and that makes a nice body for that. So you could go back in the Facebook Lives and find the time that we did the bee and come up with something for that. But I want to just take these leaves here today, and I'm going to be putting them down on my cutting mat, and I want to try something with you that I have not tried before. So I'm going to take all my little leaves. I'm going to focus my camera down on my workstation. And oh, by the way, I learned a new feature of StreamYard that I have to test out. I have not done it yet, but I'm going to test out this new feature of StreamYard, where I can bring on a second camera in order to do these demonstrations. But I didn't want to frustrate you today and do this while we were chatting. I actually want to do it separately and do a little test. And so I'm going to be doing that over the next few days, so that the next time we're here on StreamYard, I'm hoping that I can bring you the demonstration without angling the camera down like this, and actually bring another camera on side by side with what I'm doing here. So these little leaves are 3-inch leaves. And what I'm doing is I'm marking 3/4 of an inch away from the very end of the point of the leaf. But over here, I don't have a point on this leaf because this leaf was a partial leaf. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the leaves on the board. So at the 3-inch marking, 1, 2, 3, I've got this tip, which is a full tip, on that 3-inch marking. And then if I go 1, 2, 3, and I measure over here 1/4 of an inch away from this last inch marking, that's doing the same as marking in 3/4 of an inch from this end. So let me go ahead and mark that. And then over here, I'm marking 3/4 of an inch away from this end. And I'm not quite sure what my original measurement was, but let's go ahead and remeasure that and do 3/4 of an inch. So what I'm hoping is that this nice little curved section of the leaf here is going to come together really beautifully when I sew on these lines. So what I want to do is I want to make a couple of these little segments, and I'm going to take 2 leaves together, right sides together. And this is a full 3-inch leaf right here. So I'm going to put that on the 3-inch marking. And then I'm going to go ahead and mark 3/4 of an inch away from this end and 3/4 of an inch away from this end. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Okay, 3/4 of an inch away from each end. And now what I want to do is I want to come over to my sewing machine and sew that on the sewing machine. So that means I need to take down, well, let's take down that camera first of all. And I'm going to take down this ring quilt. And it just so happens that I was in the middle of the ring and I didn't continue to sew that ring, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and turn on that machine. And we're going to sew. There we go. We're going to sew right on that line. So on that 3/4 of an inch line, we're going to go ahead and sew over there. Oh, I lost my thread up top. So just give me a second to rethread. All right, so what's the goal here? The goal is to make some short body segments for something like an ant or a caterpillar or some other little critter that has that exoskeleton that looks like it's all little roundish segments that are one next to the other. And so what I'm trying to do is to alter this leaf so it becomes something even more exciting and more fun than just a leaf shape. So let's go ahead and sew this next one. Let's chain those right through. And I have a feeling that my machine is just not cooperating. It's not threaded properly, maybe. Oh, okay. What happened was I'm using the Wonderfill Invisifill thread, and I have it on an upright spool pin, and that is not the way to run your Wonderfill thread. You want your Wonderfill thread on the crosswise spool pin. It's so lightweight, it will fall right off of that vertical spool pin, and it wraps around the pin itself, and that breaks your thread. So that's what was happening. I had it on the wrong spool pin. So I definitely want to do that on the horizontal spool pin with the little cover over it so that the thread spools off the pin this way, and it does not get tangled up on the spool pin itself. So that's just a little tip about working with the Wonderfill threads. Now I do have everything on sale right now, and that those Wonderfill thread collections are such a nice thing to have in your sewing room. So I love using those Wonderfill threads, and I've got it on here only because I was doing applique. I would not normally be piecing with the Wonderfill thread, and that's kind of what I'm doing, is piecing these little segments together. So now that I have 2 little segments sewn together, I'm going to split that apart, and I'm going to cut off the extra of that applique beyond the 1/4 of an inch beyond that stitching line. So I'm going to go ahead and trim beyond the stitching line. And let's go ahead and do this one more time. Let's take the 2 ends together that we haven't yet sewn, match those up. So you've got the 3-inch leaf plus the 3-inch leaf. Those seam lines are going to match right up. And I've already got a line drawn on my leaf, right 3/4 of an inch away from the end. So I'm going to sew on that end again. Okay, so now I have an even number here, and I really want to make an odd number so that I have kind of a little caterpillar that has an odd number of little body segments. And I think this one's going to end up more of a snake than a caterpillar, but that's the fun of playing, isn't it? We get to play around and see what these come up like. And I haven't pre-planned this. I have not pre-sewn these. We're just playing with it here together. And that's kind of the fun of our Monday morning sew-togethers, is we're doing this together. We're going to discover this together. So it's a thought I had kind of in the middle of the night last night. And I said, let's go ahead and sew some of those black leaves together. And we're going to trim those up. And then we're going to grab our iron. Let's see. Let's grab my iron over here. And I need a little ironing surface to work on. And I'm just going to grab my my clapper here. That's going to be a nice little surface to work on for just a few moments while I'm ironing this tiny little snake here that I've just made. So I'm going to open up that seam and I'm going to press that seam open. I hope you can see that because I'm trying to get my ironing station in here as well as the sewing machine. So I've opened up that little seam, and remember this is all fused in the back. So we want to put that seam face down and iron it open. So I like to do this one at a time and just take this next little seam, finger press it open. All right. And then we're going to iron it open. Now I'm finding that my thread is showing a little bit, so I definitely would want to match my thread color. I'd want black thread to use with this little black snake or worm I have here. I actually think it looks more like a worm than a snake right about now. But I can definitely see the potential, for a snake. All right, so I think I might have to do a snake another day because as I'm making this, I'm getting more and more ideas of what I could do. So this is a great little worm. Love this little worm. He's so adorable. So let me show you what I've got here so far. So you need a light background so you can see what I'm doing. So let's get that on a light background so you can see that little snake or that little worm that I've just made with all of the different segments pulled together with seams in between the segments. So this curve is not very drastic because it's that 3-inch curve. So it's a nice graceful curve, and I think that's going to be great for a little worm. But we want something a little bit more drastic when we go for our caterpillar. So I want to talk to you about doing a caterpillar in a slightly different way. So let me move my ironing surface over. Now a caterpillar is much more commonly done with circles instead of these leaf shapes that we currently have. So let's go ahead and just get back on our workstation here. It'll be a little easier for you to see. And I've got some of these leaves and things. When I demonstrate, I usually demonstrate with green fabric. So I've got all these little segments of green fabric left over. And what I want to do is I want to trace out and cut my little circles. So I can certainly use the Hearts and More tools to make my circles. And this is 1 5/8 over here. And this little one over here is 1 inch. Now let's look at the next size tool. Is this side larger or smaller than this one? So, yep, this one, template A, actually is smaller than the small end of template B. So I'm definitely going to work with template A because I want the smallest circles possible. And I'm going to fold that fabric and I'm going to place the template on the fold of the fabric to cut out my circle shapes. So if I use the large end of the template, I'm going to get that 1 5/8 inch circle. So let's start there. A 1 5/8 inch circle. Now, if that's bigger than the caterpillar body segment than you had in mind, you can certainly go down to the 1 inch, but the 1 inch is harder to cut with the rotary cutter. It's not that it can't be done, but it is harder to cut with your rotary cutter. So let's go ahead and make some little circles with the 1 5/8, and I need a super sharp blade to do this. And I can tell my blade's getting dull because it was pushing that fabric instead of cutting. So I'm just going to go and cut backwards and just clean up that edge if I didn't get a clean cut the first time. Okay, so I need to change my blade, and this quick change rotary cutter makes quick work out of that. But I'm not going to do that yet. I'm just going to wait for a minute. So I've used these lemon-shaped leaves that I had leftovers from to make my circles, and I know I can fit a 1-inch circle right here. So let's take our time with the 1-inch circle and let's cut that with our rotary cutter. Now, do I recommend you cut this with the rotary cutter? No. I would rather have you trace and cut this with scissors. It's going to be a lot more accurate. But in the interest of getting this done, I'm going to attempt to cut this with my rotary cutter. But it's hard. It's not something I normally do. I normally trace these and cut these, and quite honestly, I didn't do a very good job. So I'd rather trace and cut. So let's go ahead and do that. I want to show you how I'm going to trace and cut. And I can either just use a regular pencil, because that leaves a nice shiny line, or I can go ahead and grab my chalk pencils or my chalk marker. So when I use the chalk marker, I like to move around that circle, and I go back and forth to leave a nice heavy chalk mark. And keep that pinch. So you can see that chalk mark's pretty heavy. But you see on the inside where the tool was, it's nice and clean on the inside edge. So that's where I'm going to cut. I'm going to keep that nice and pinched well together. I'm going to grab either one of my 2 scissors. I've got these great Applique scissors that really need to be sharpened, but I think I can get around with the Applique scissors. And then, you know what? I told the Femore company I was going to test out their blue-handled scissors, so I'm going to do that too. So this one, I'm using the Applique scissors. That one came out nice. But let's go ahead and try another one using the Femore scissors. So now I have some S-curves, some leftover S-curves. So let's go ahead and fold that S-curve and then use the 1-inch tool to mark our line. So if you use a pencil, you can certainly do that, but you want to make sure that no matter which pencil or pen you use, you're cutting on the inside of the line, so you're removing the pencil line altogether. Oh my gosh, these Femore snips are just fabulous. And I told them, I said, I don't like them. They have a plastic handle. So I automatically jumped to conclusions that a plastic handled scissor was not what I was going to be happy with. But boy, I'm loving these. In fact, I think I'm going to get some of these for the website because I've really just gotten very, very excited about using these now. So let's see, we've got a light and then a dark and then a light. Let's see what other colors we have here. Oh, look, I had cut out some green hearts, and I'm not a big fan of green hearts. So let's go ahead and trim these. And once again, I'm not going to use the rotary cutter for that. My blade is dull. I'm not getting a nice cut. I could certainly take the time to switch my blade, but it's just as easy to use just for that 1 inch. I don't do this for any other circle. Just for the 1 inch, I'm going to go ahead and use my scissors. And today we're really focusing on the 1-inch circle. So you're seeing me use a lot of scissors. Well, why do I call it Rotary Cut Applique when I use scissors? Well, this is the only time I use scissors are for these little tiny circles. And in all of my workshops and in all of my courses online, you will see that I do everything else with my rotary cutter. And the only time I don't use the rotary cutter, there's 2 times. When I folded my 6-petal flowers into 6 sections and I'm cutting through 6 layers of fabric, I use these real sharp and the scissors with a real sharp point that have a tiny point and a big handle area so that you can open these wide and you can cut right around those circles. Super, super easy. Just like that. And because there's such torque here, because this is such a short blade with a long handle, you can, there we go. You can get real good cutting power in this short blade. So you can go through 6 layers of fabric really, really easily. Now, right now, I'm just doing 2 layers of fabric. And there you go. There's my heart so far. But you can see I can cut one more 1-inch circle out of this heart. And I don't need another 1-inch circle, but I'm just trying to show you how to use up some of those scraps that you end up with when you take a class with me, or when you're practicing your shapes, or when you're just learning how to do your shapes and you're just playing with these different shapes, don't waste the fabric. You can certainly make those shapes into something else should you have leftovers. Now, when I have leftover leaves, I go ahead and just add them to my scrap leaf bin. But here we've got some leftover leaves, and I want to show you that from a 2.5-inch leaf, or a 3-inch leaf, I'm sorry, from a 3-inch leaf, I can get a 1-inch circle right out of the center of that leaf. So anytime that you have leaves left over, I put them into a leaf bin. But say I need to grab some quick 1-inch circles, especially for caterpillar, those green leaves are a great way to do that. So this is going to give me a really interesting shape. I'm going to cut this really carefully. So from the center of my leaf, I'm cutting a 1-inch circle. Well, what I love about this is it gives me another shape to work with. So do I really want a leaf with a circle cut out of the middle? Well, that makes a great eyeball, doesn't it? So you could certainly do that. But look what happens when you snip this apart. You get this pretty shape, which has a point on one end and a rounded circle on the other. What a great flower petal that would be, right? You can do all kinds of different things with shapes like these. So I'll put that on a white piece of paper so you can see the shape that I just made when I cut out another 1-inch circle. So I love this idea of sewing my pieces together, and that made a great little worm. But here I want to do my little caterpillar. So I love the fact that this can move around in any direction to make your little caterpillar guy. And the front segment could just be his little head, or you could put a bigger head on. I'm not happy with that one. So I think I'm just going to make mine into a little caterpillar this way and just use that front one or this one right here as the head. And on that head, you can do a little eye, you can do a little face on there, or you can just leave it very organic, which would be better for a more realistic quilt, not to put a silly little smile on your caterpillar, an eye, or anything. You might just want to look at pictures of caterpillars on the internet and see what happens. Do they have some little legs coming off the bottom? Those little legs can be done with embroidery. Do they have a little eye? Do they have a little antennae? Do they have, or do they have antennae? Do they have little whiskers that come off of the back, little hairs that come off of the back of the caterpillar? And all of those things can be done with, sorry, I'm just trying to find where my iron is so I can iron this together. So all of these things can be done with embroidery. So I love the fact that when I play around with different shapes like this, I can go to an absolute reliable source. I can go onto a scientific website and I can say, okay, how does this caterpillar look in real life? How are his segments overlapping? What shape are the segments once you have them overlapped? Does this look realistic, or do we need to do a little bit more work on this type of a thing? So I'm going to just play around with that right there. And then I'm going to press that on my applique pressing sheet so that I make this into one long little caterpillar instead of individual segments. So after that cools for a second, I can peel that up off of my applique pressing sheet and then add that to my quilt. So really fun to play with circles. And I'm really excited to try out this new method of sewing together with 1/4 inch seams and then making that type of a snake or a worm. Now, what would happen if I put these, if I sewed these at different angles? If I made these seams at angles, I can change the direction of the way that my snake slithers. So say I do this one slightly at an angle in, I'm going to end up with my little snake changing directions. And if you do that multiple times, you're going to get the same little undulation here like you have with your caterpillar. You can make your snake go in different ways as well. So maybe his head wants to go that way, and maybe his tail wants to go in the opposite direction. So all you do is, instead of doing a straight line across, you're going to put your line at an angle so that when you do fold this out, you get a change of direction for your pieces. So I hope that this is something that you will play with, and you'll come up with some new ideas for your little critters on your quilts. And I've decided that I think I need to put a piece of fabric up on my design wall. And as I come up with these little critters, these different little shapes, even some new flower shapes or some new grasses, we can just start putting those up on our design wall and fusing them in place so that we have some nice little examples for a future project. So, okay, let's go back. I want to look at all of the questions. So Betty, good morning. Nice to see you here this morning. That shape would have made a neat elf hat. Elaine, I love it. So are you talking about the lemon-shaped leaf? That would make an adorable little elf hat for sure. Make a great Santa hat if you made this in red and put a big white pom-pom on the top. I'm just going to grab one of these pieces of my caterpillar and say I wanted to put my little pom-pom on the top like this. Now I've just stretched that all out, but you get the idea. So absolutely, a little stocking cap for some little kids, or a Santa hat for sure would be just adorable. And you could make a little white rim on this as well. So yep, I think that would be really cute as a Santa hat. Now, this little shape right here, same deal. This would be great for a little gnome, right? Little hat on the little gnomes. So this I did with a tiny little 3-inch leaf, but what if you did this with a great big 6-inch, 8-inch leaf? That would be really fun to do. So what I love is that we're getting creative together, and you're seeing things that are really fun and different from what I'm seeing, and I think that's fantastic. Applique, oh, love, love, love her tools. They're fantastic. Okay. Peas in a pod. Absolutely. Peas in a pod would be really, really fun. So this could be my pod right here. And then the peas could be poking out of that pod. So say I did my S-shaped curve as the pod. And then I could put the peas right in that pod as well, just kind of on this idea. But right now, of course, we've got them made into a caterpillar. So what I would love to see is if I split this in half with the S-curve and then opened it up, put a little bit of black in there so that it has some shadow behind it, and then put the peas on that, that would be sweet. That would be really cute. So yeah, the creativity is just astounding to me this morning. When I get on and I just start playing with you, you inspire me. And that is such a blessing to me. And I want to thank you for that. Yeah, just before I cut the second circle out of the, yes, out of this shape. Now, of course, you know, with those circles, we've got snowmen happening right and left. You can make these little snowmen. And of course, this little hat with a little pom-pom on top would be adorable on your snowmen as well. Okay, so we have been playing this morning with critters for our garden. We've come up with either a worm or a snake, and of course, our caterpillar. So I hope that I will find some of these finding their way into your creations. So when we do a class like our Leaves Galore techniques, where we have all of the different flowers and we've started to put some critters on there, we've got a butterfly and we've got a dragonfly. Wouldn't it be fun to add to the critters that you can put on that quilt and add a little snake, add a little caterpillar, or just use that Leaves Galore techniques as your bouncing off point? You can start with the Leaves Galore technique samples, the buds, the vines, the 6-petal flowers, the vines that we make from that fabric in between our Leaves Galore cuts that would make great grasses for our garden. So we could make a garden quilt and put some of the critters in our garden. That'd be a really fun way to play with these shapes and have something to show for it in the end. So I think I need to slap that up on the wall and just keep it up there until we put all of the critters in our garden. Now this morning I had ideas for mice and maybe some other little critters like maybe a skunk. I'm going to write that down because I need to research those. I have an owl that I'd like to do. So we're going to do an owl in the future. We're going to try and see if we can do a skunk. We're going to definitely do a mouse because I already have that in my thoughts and in my plans. And how about a bunny? So a customer wrote to me this weekend and she shared a little COVID quilt that she made. Her guild had a COVID guild challenge, and her little critters that she made all had masks on. And in the quilting, she had written, "Wear a mask." Now, I can't share her quilt with you, even though she's right here with us today. I can't share her quilt with you until maybe it's been released by her guild, that challenge is done with her guild, or until she gives me permission to share that. So I've been wanting to write to you and ask you if I can share your quilt, which I always do that before I share them on my Facebook page. A peacock, yes, yes, yes. I have a turkey. I just didn't get it done before Turkey Day, before Thanksgiving. So you might have seen in my email, I had this cute little turkey wall hanging. I actually found that wall hanging elsewhere, but it inspired me to dream up a turkey quilt or a turkey critter that we could put on a quilt. So I do have that in the works. And I will be showing you that going forward. Now, I don't know. I was thinking, do we want to do it kind of in the middle of the year so that you decide to use a turkey on a quilt? You could get the quilt done before next Thanksgiving. So rather than wait until next Thanksgiving to show you how to make that turkey, maybe I should do it in the next month or so that you have a little head start on next year's Thanksgiving projects. So we did do our pumpkins. And I do believe that the pumpkins are going to make their way into one of these little sampler quilts that I'm thinking about making, so that we can do our pumpkins and our bats and our turkey and maybe that peacock and the bunny and the mouse. Maybe we can put them all in the same quilt so that we can play with these ideas together. Okay. Oh, Elaine, good, good, good. Thank you. So Elaine says that she's happy to let me share. And you know what, Elaine? Again, I don't want you to compare your everyday to somebody else's highlight reel. Remember that when you are doing a guild challenge for something that's quick like this, oh my gosh, all of a sudden we're going to do a COVID challenge. Do you want to spend days and days and days perfecting that? Or do you just want to come up with something fun that you can share with your guild members? It's a quick little challenge that you can get done fast, easy. It does not need to be a masterpiece. And every good idea starts with a rough draft, right? People do not write masterpieces on their rough draft of a book or a novel or a poem. A rough draft is a way of working out all of the kinks in the problem and just getting something out there so that your editor can go to town, so that you can revise. Now, for something like a COVID challenge, you're not going to revise that. You're not going to make a pattern out of it. You're not going to really bring that idea to full fruition. You just want to get it out there the first time and have fun with it, right? And that's what you did. And it was adorable. So I don't want you to downgrade what you did. Your creativity was amazing. I love it. It was not meant to be a masterpiece. It was meant to be something fun to share with your guild. And so I loved it. I was so inspired by it. All those little critters inspired me to get back to these critters. So it's because of you, Elaine. It's because of you and my customers that challenge me, that send me ideas, that spark my creativity. That's all because of all of you. That creativity is not necessarily found inside of me. I look to the outside for creative ideas, just like you're here this morning, looking maybe to me for some new creative ideas. So that's why this is such a blessing for me that we can share this time together and that I can inspire you, but more than ever, you inspire me. So thank you for letting me share, Elaine. I will post that little quilt to our Facebook group, and I would love to share that with everyone else. Okay? All right, terrific. So I've got my work cut out for me. I keep a little notebook of my Facebook Lives so I know what we talked about. So I try not to do the same things again. And then I have little challenges for myself to look at the owl, the skunk, the mouse, the bunny, the peacock, and the turkey in order to bring you future creative ideas that we can just bounce from and learn from and just get those creative ideas out there, not in their perfect form, but just in the formation process. And then we'll perfect these as we put them out into a real quilt, a real sampler quilt, or a real pattern that we're going to make from these. So thanks for sharing this time with me. I'm thrilled that you are here. I want to remind you of a couple of things. Don't compare your everyday daily grind to everybody else's highlight reel. What you're seeing on social media is the highlight reel from everybody's life. You don't know what goes behind those successes. You don't know the struggles that those people are enduring to get through those, to get to those successes. So if you're feeling sometimes like your quilt isn't measuring up, you're not getting enough done, you don't want to share because you're having stress in your life, or you're having family issues, or you're having feelings of depression or sadness during this time, I want you to know that you are not alone. We're all going through challenges in our life. And even though I come to you and things look pretty good from your side, things can be challenging from the other side of the camera. And I just want to share that with you, that even though I have made a commitment to you and I come to you every Monday and sometimes on Tuesdays for my Ahead of the Curve members, and things look exciting and fun in my world, there are definitely struggles and challenges that you don't see behind the scenes. And I'm not sharing that with you in any selfish way. I just want you to know that you are not alone with your challenges, your struggles. And when you do have a big success, that is a wonderful time to share. But just realize that that is your highlight reel. And there's a whole lot more that makes up you and your life and your family and your hobby. There's a whole lot of learning. There's a whole process that goes behind these beautiful highlights that I love to share with my members, and I love to share with all of you. So let's talk about membership for just 1 minute. I've had this ticker going across the bottom this whole time, and I hope it hasn't been distracting to you. Completely forgot about it, to tell you the truth. So on that banner, it says that our Cyber Monday sale ends tonight at midnight. I just want to let you know that trying to find my mouse pad here so I can work and get that banner off the bottom, but it's not worth it. Let me just tell you what I wanted to say. If you are not already a member of Ahead of the Curve and you want to continue to play with us on our play dates that we have, not just for an hour, we have some really nice play dates for workshops that last anywhere between 3 and 6 and 8 hours. You can come join us in the membership. Now, it's not all about the workshops. We are going to have a video library for you of those workshops so that if you can't come to the live workshops, you can do all of these classes with the video library on your own time when it's fun and appropriate for you to be working. Pink elephant, Penny, you're so funny. But what we're also going to have for you is step-by-step instructions. And I'm going to be filming those starting this afternoon. I'm going to do some more filming. I've already been filming some. We plan to have about 6 or 8 sessions uploaded to our member area for those platinum members. Those platinum leaf members are going to have their step-by-step instructions already in their platinum membership. Our gold level members, yes, our gold leaf members are also going to have the step-by-step instructions. The silver leaf members, they're going to get those instructions. That's going to be the main focus of their membership. And they're going to get an email every 2 weeks with a new instructional video. So if you want to learn slowly, step-by-step without projects, silver leaf membership will be for you. If you want access to some of our workshops, the gold leaf membership is for you. If you want all of that, but access to every single workshop, then the platinum leaf membership is for you. All my current members are being upgraded to the platinum leaf membership. This is all going to happen come the first of the year. And right now, if you join the membership, we only have the gold leaf membership open right now. That's the $49 level. So you can join right there. If you wanted one of the other levels, you could wait until those come up on January. Well, we're going to start advertising them in December. But right now, the only thing that's open is our gold leaf membership, because that's the standard membership we've done all along, where you get access to one workshop every month. You're going to have the new features. So one workshop every month, a discount on our website and our private Facebook page. That's our gold leaf membership right now. That's our standard ahead of the curve membership. We're going to be upgrading that, and we're going to be adding the video library with a good selection of videos for those gold leaf members. And we're going to add the step-by-step instructions. The reason why I'm pointing this out, and even though it's not all ironed out, we don't have all those videos ready, not until January 1st are all those new features going to become available. But the reason why I'm pointing it out right now is because of that ticker. There's a 21% savings right now if you order now. So your first month, which is December, you're going to get the 21% savings off of that $49, and you're still going to get into a December workshop and have all of the benefits that our current members have. Then when January comes around and we release the new features, you're going to have those too. So if you join right now, you're going to stay a gold leaf member. Our original members, our founding members, our members that have been with me for a long time, they're going to get upgraded to platinum. That's a $69 level. Okay, so if you want to join at the platinum level, you can wait a little bit. We're going to have that ready for you in December. But if you're ready to join now, you want to join this organization, you want to join this group that's having so much fun together, join now at the $49 level, the gold leaf membership. And when January comes along, you're going to get those added benefits. But right now, you're going to benefit from the group as it is right now. We still have December workshops going on. We have pre-registration for January workshops. So if you want to get in on those January workshops, you can pre-register today for those workshops if you join today. So there's an added benefit to joining now instead of waiting until these different membership levels are all ready to go. And the added benefit, not only of getting in on the pre-registration for December and January workshops, but you're also going to get that 21% discount off of your first month. So it's a really nice little added bonus, and you can join today. And I'd be happy to welcome you into the membership. That's so much fun. Now on Tuesdays, we have our membership Facebook Live. So just for Facebook members, we're going to have twice on Tuesdays, twice a month, just for members. You've got me at your disposal to ask me any questions, to come and play and do something fun like we did today, and to see what's new and coming up in the membership, what new workshops we have coming up. Now, I promised you and I told you I was going to show you the ring quilt, and it's not sewn yet. I've only started sewing the rings, but I'm going to give you just a quick little preview of the rings quilt. It is on a Bargello bottom. So this is a shaded quilt from gray all the way down to this very dark blue gray on the bottom. And then it just has rings scattered across the top of that quilt. So I'll be showing you more of that as it is sewn and before it goes to the professional machine quilter, hopefully later this week. The next thing that I just touched on was the Drunkard's Path in the larger sizes. The Drunkard's Path was made with the Rings and Things. So let me just tell you one more thing about the Rings and Things tool, because it's already 12 o'clock. I've already spent an hour with you. The Rings and Things have been delayed slightly because our manufacturers had a touch of COVID at their manufacturing facility. So I'm putting an email out to them today. I've asked Penny to do that for us to follow up. Oh, I'm glad you like it, Penny. Betty, thank you so much for the comments on the ring quilt. Penny and I are reaching out to the manufacturer today to see if we can get an absolute delivery date on the Rings and Things tools. As soon as we have that, I will email all of you that have pre-ordered the Rings and Things tools. I'm so excited about getting these out to you. And with your pre-order, you're going to get a copy of the Big Daddy Clamshell Quilt, which is Penny edited that this morning. It's all ready to go in PDF format out to you. So as soon as the Rings and Things quilt tools are here in my possession, or actually at the warehouse, and we start shipping those, you will all get an email stating that they have arrived at our warehouse. They're ready to ship. And it's going to attach that PDF pattern for the Big Daddy clamshells. So if you have pre-ordered Rings and Things, you will get the pattern for the Big Daddy clamshells as well as your templates as soon as we possibly can get them to you. So we will reach out to the manufacturer today. We'll get an answer, hopefully, on a delivery date. And then I'll send out an email to everybody that has pre-ordered to let you know what's happening with your tools. Okay. Thank you. The ring quilt is very modern with dark on the side. It is kind of fun. It is modern. Anita, you like it too. I'm so glad that you like it, because my family doesn't. They are not into the modern quilts. They totally love my traditional quilts, and they thought the modern quilt was a little, I don't know. They just weren't excited about it, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm glad that I have some company here and you think it's pretty. All right. I'm so happy you spent your morning here with me today. It is morning where you are, I'm assuming. I don't think anybody is here from UK. I'm so glad you spent your morning here with me. I love to spend this creative time. I never have time to create, so these Monday mornings are so important to me. So thank you for joining me for some fun, and I look forward to working with you all again on a future Monday or in the membership group. I have so many of my members here saying hello. Thank you for coming today, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Until I do, you have a blessed and happy week coming up. It is the first week of Advent. I put my Advent candles out today, and that makes me so happy when I start to decorate for the holidays. So happy Advent to all of you who are Christians or Catholics out there that celebrate Advent. If you're not, have a wonderful holiday season. The start to the holiday season between Thanksgiving and Christmas is such a fun and exciting time. If you are looking for a gift for quilters, definitely think about giving a gift of the membership. And today is the perfect day to do that with our Gobble It Up savings. You have to use the coupon code Gobble It Up to get the 21% savings on the website. And the website is SuePellandDesigns.com. So I'm going to just type that out here, SuePellandDesigns.com. And you can go ahead and use that Gobble It Up savings right there on my website. Let's see, we're going to show that for you. Oh my gosh, it did not change from before. So we're going to just change that. Sue Pelland. Oh, it's just not working for me today. So that's okay. Okay, there we go. We're going to hope that's going to... Is that working? Doesn't want to work today. That's okay. Oh, I have to save the changes. Oh my gosh. Okay, good. All right. SuePellandDesigns.com. That's where you're going to take advantage of that 21% savings with the coupon code Gobble It Up today. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure to spend my morning with you. Take care now.